Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to this GT4 League Round 1 at Hungaroring. This is round 1 of a 6-round league with RWB International. We've got 6 minutes and 26 seconds or so left of qualifying. As normally, we'll pop in at this stage so we can give you some quick situational awareness, briefings and so forth. And then actually by the time we finish that, we'll be ready to go. Lots of things to talk about, so before we do that, don't peek too soon, Tiger. Let's introduce the number 2 with me tonight. You may well hear him more going forward, particularly on Saturdays. Absolutely over the moon to have him with us. It's RWB International's main sponsor, Xerax from RST. How are you, Zach? All right?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic today, Tiger. How are you doing today?
I'm very excited. We were just talking about this particular race series, the GT4, that we've just been watching Marco Badowski out there. My God, just pulled out a 151.9. He was amazing, super quick out there, wasn't
he? Yeah, he went 3/10 faster in the last sector. This KTM is absolutely rapid here at Hungary. That less weight probably definitely plays to his advantage.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think, and we're going to see some benefits of that KTM being the lightest, I think, of all the GT4 cars later on in the race. When they do their pit stop, they've got to do a pit stop. But I don't think the KTM is going to suffer on the tyres quite so much. Now, these are GT4 cars. They're not GT3 cars, so there are slight differences. Do you know what they are, Zach?
Yeah, so the main difference with these GT4 cars is they don't produce the same amount of downforce as the GT3 cars. So you're going to see a lot of these cars really dancing on the limit, a lot of oversteer, some understeer in some places. They're absolute blast to drive. But I think track limits are going to play an absolute crucial role in this race because you don't have the downforce. You have to be very careful not to go wide into the turns.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And things like tyre warmers, I don't think tyre warmers are simulated in GT4, are they?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, these cars are going to start with cold tires at the start, so it's going to be for a very interesting lap 1.
Wow. Well, with Nate Newcomer at the minute, Nate is currently running in 3rd place. He's currently 2 tenths up, actually. So, but I don't think that'll be enough to challenge 2nd place Napone, who's currently sitting with a 153.4. But what we'll do is we'll jump in cockpit with Nate, and we'll use Nate, hopefully, if he's going to go around for the... he's coming through the S's section at the minute. We'll use him to give us a quick orientation of the track. So we're on the main straight now down at Hungaroring. Now, Hungaroring has got 16 corners. 2 of those are alpha corners, in other words, sort of partial corners, underneath the old the crossover there, the flyover, down into T1, which we're going to term as the hairpin, nice and tight. And then we're extending downhill now. We're going through this slight kink, which is T1A, underneath the gantry here and the bridge, down into T2, which is an offset parabolica, very tight undulation change, coming downhill now. At the bottom of this hill, T3, clip it on the right. Now we start to go uphill, and coming uphill then to T4, which we've termed the blind man. So in through the blind man, you can probably see why it's called the blind man. And now a little bit of a straight here before we start to climb the hill. Quite a nice little corner, another parabolica, slightly offset on the exit. Past the crane on the right, into the chicanes. T6 and T7. Now underneath the gantry there, round to the left, T8 and into T9. This whole area known as the S's section with immediate effect, we've termed it, Zach and I. And now into this sweeping left-hander, flat out down here. More left and right, left, right. You know, there's so many that in the real life, F1 cars go around here with the same sort of downforce setup as Monaco. Down the hill slightly, 90 right. And now we're coming into what we've termed as the Superman complex. If you look at it bird's eye view, it's a big S. 2 parabolicas extending into each other. And then into the final parabolica, into the main straight again. And again, you know, a lot of people get this slightly wrong or don't put the power on the throttle as soon as they can. You've got a lot of space on the left-hand side to extend out along the main straight again. That's 1 lap of Hungaroring. What do you think of this track, Zach?
Oh, it's been said that it's the mini Monaco, very bumpy, a lot of twisty turns. That turn 14 is so crucial to get right too. We saw it this last lap with Nate Newcomer. You have to be very patient. It's really easy to want to get on that throttle nice and early, but you got to wait till the car settles, get on the power early. They're approaching 220 kilometers per hour by the time they hit to turn 1. So there's a lot of passing opportunities if they take that just right.
Absolutely. 20k north of Hungary's capital, this circuit is Hungaroring. The first circuit actually in the Eastern European area of Europe before the Iron Curtain, the first circuit to host FIA Grade 1 events, namely, of course, the first event here, 1986, which was Formula 1. This has got 16 turns. You may see other places saying 14 turns. That's actually correct. It is 14 turns, but you've got a couple of alphas, a couple of kinks, basically, at T1, just after T1, and just before you go into the Superman complex. There's a couple of kinks, and they're actually given allocated turn numbers. So 16 turns here, 9 right and 7 left. It's got 1 hairpin that we saw there. A couple of offset parabolicas, elevation changes. It's a very undulating track with big elevation changes in some places. Can be fairly tricky, and to get round here is not solely about pure power. This is a technical track, and you've just heard Zach Zirax absolutely rightly tell you that it's a bit of a Marmite track, and in real life, people either love it or they hate it. Great. Well, look, that's the end of qualifying. Where do we stand? Well, Badowski is currently in first, Newcomer second. Nippone, who's just put in a 158.4 is last, but qualified third with a 152.6 in third. Then we've got Harvey Brown, Hacks, Dave Crew, who's my sort of training partner with a 153. Then we've got Usama, Snelltren, CSAM. CSAM, we all know CSAM, how quick he is, 153.1. This is tier 1. There are 3 tiers for this GT4 league. Our Discord at the minute has got more people in there that went and voted for the last recent local elections in the UK. There are a lot of people involved in this GT4 league. There are 31 runnings out there tonight just in tier 1 alone. Tier 2 and tier 3 are also being run at the same time. How did we determine who's in tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3? Why don't you tell us about that, Zach?
Yeah, so to determine the tiers, every driver put a hot stint in on a practice server as Zolder. A hot stint consists of consecutively 5 laps completed without any off tracks or anything like that. The average of that hot stint was then configured, and then the top, I think 33 drivers were in tier 1, then 33 to 66 were tier 2, and then the remaining were in tier 3. Just to kind of give you an idea of how close this pact was for tier 1, the top guys were all within less than 1 second of P1. So it's going to be an absolute action-packed 75 minutes for this race.
Yeah, wonderful. Less than 1 second between in the top tier. And actually, when you went down the tiers, that extended a little bit, but the fact of the matter is that each one of those tiers, the drivers are in parity. You could then say, well, what about the guy who's at the bottom of tier 2, at the bottom of tier 1? Would he not be better off in tier 2? Well, someone's got to be at the bottom somewhere. So, yeah, the guy at the bottom of tier 2 is only one at the bottom of tier 1 is only 1 second away from the pole. So we should see, as Zach says, some close racing. And we're not looking, by the way, at some form of new hybrid model there. We're looking at 2 cars merged together as a result of the amount of pit spaces there are. So we'll move that on to Badowski. Quick word on Badowski, 151.9, quite exceptional, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely rapid for this track. I think the race pace will see pretty much high 53s, low 54s. So 51.9 is absolute rapid around here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. They've got the last minute now to sort their lives out and quick breather and stretch their legs and so on. They've got to press drive with 30 seconds left to go. If you see the odd car being lifted up, that's not some form of bug. Just look at that view. Let's pop on the helicam there. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Look at that lot. You know what? Well, I think we'll stay there. We can just see the Chargers helicopter has just landed, and then he's just been informed this is not your tier. You're in the wrong place. So the helicopter's winding up to take him elsewhere. We've got 31 cars there. The start is a manual start, so they've all got strict instructions on what that start process is going to be, which is basically manual. Stay within, within a couple of car lengths of the guy in front of you. Concentrate on that, not looking at a widget. And then when they come along the main straight there, the leader will go when the lights are green, which will be synced across everybody, and then they can all then put their foot down. Now the concern is, of course, Zach, T1.
Oh, absolutely. With these cars starting on those cold tires, and a lot of these GT4 cars have quite difference in braking ability. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very hard for these drivers to keep it clean. They're going to be a lot of close racing, but it's going to be really interesting lap one.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good view. That all them cars there, fantastic. Wow, crikey, holy moly! Quick shout out. Good to see some familiar faces out there. Nate Newcomer, we know is very quick. We know Badowski's quick. Napone up in third place. Well done to Napone. Really upped his game. I think it's a fair assessment to say that his place in the Tier 1 part of this league is thoroughly deserved. Hacks up there in fifth. Watch out for him. Jake Moore in seventh. Again, you all know him as Speed Demon. Not well recently, and taking some time out to get better, but also then come back for this GT4 league. We'll see how he gets on. He favours the Audi. The Audi in the GT4 is not clearly the same as the Audi in the GT3, and there are a few idiosyncrasies with the GT4 Audi, but Speed seems to have tamed it. Which is to be expected. We've got Jamie McKee out there, otherwise known as Rodders. Good to see him out there in this GT4 league. Watch out for him. A frenemy of a lot of people out there. I say frenemy because as soon as that green light goes, they are competitive out there as they would be in real life. That doesn't stop them being friends outside of the track, of course. Varley, watch out for him. Oliver Curtin, watch out for him. Helmet, watch out for him. And they've now started the lap. Little bit of a delay there. The ghosting is on. Little bit of a delay, just a little bit of a delay. The ghosting is on, so there shouldn't be too much of an issue. We'll put the camera on Nate Newcomer, currently in second place, and whether we can get a better track side. Here we go, track side. We'll try and capture everybody as best we can throughout the whole of the race, but they're now away. The green light is on, flipping to the helicam as they come into T1. Lovely shot back down on the main straight there. Sometimes 3-4 aside, Zach.
Oh, absolutely crazy into the turn one here.
I think everyone's getting through. We'll just go back. Everyone's getting through. 3 and 4 aside. Wonderful stuff there. All the way back through the pack. Everyone has made it through T1. Great stuff. Back with Badowski. Badowski then. Now still leaving. In fact, now in... actually, for some reason, come on, Badowski. There is Badowski, but he's clearly got a couple of people in front of us, and the situation has not changed on our race director. But we've got people, have we not, in front of Badowski? Yeah, Nate Newcomer. Nate Newcomer is out the front there, so he's taken first place with Hacks in second place. Badowski currently in third place. So clearly, when we were with Badowski, and we went through the field to make sure everyone went past T1. Clearly, we missed something there, but Badowski now down into third place.
Yeah, we must have missed a collision there in turn 2. Very easy to go wide in turn 2, downhill sweeper. Shame that we missed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just reminded myself, and we're riding with Nate Newcomer at the minute. We've got no wing view, but perhaps if we go onto a camera view, we can see a few cars coming through. Nate Newcomer then out in front, plus 1.4 already, pulling away on Hacks. Hacks, however, should change his name to No Nails, because once you get him on it, you ain't going to get him off you, that's for sure. So Hacks in second place, Badowski in third place, behind him Napone and CSAM. So the top 5 runners, Zach, are really top runners, very much so.
Absolutely. And Seahacks is feeling that pressure from those 2K teams. Only 3 tenths behind him. It's a great position for Nate Newcomer to kind of stretch his legs and hit the ground running.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Nate Newcomer's just crossed the lap, across the timer. First lap, 1:59.751 from a standing start. 1:59 on air race pace. We'll see that reduce. But already, look at the distance he's pulling out. Afforded as a result of that hairpin. He got on the power early, and all it takes is a few of those hairpins to give you that much bigger differential. But it looks like he's a world of his own at the minute. But if you fall off the grey stuff out here, that's your lot.
Absolutely, can turn it all around in real quick time.
Yep. Hacks in second place, being followed by Badowski and Napone. Looks like them two are hustling, both in the KTMs, being chased by CSAM in the AMG. On board with CSAM, actually. Let's go on board with CSAM. We want to look at his face. We want to look at the cockpit. And he's got a great view here. Of course, he's been pressured by Carbon there, who's a good, at the minute showing a second and a half behind. But you can see CSAM fighting with the steering wheel there, giving opposite lock in order to be able to get this car around these bends through this S's section. But a great view of Napone directly in front, and Badowski directly in front of him, and the car in the distance there, the green one, just gone through into the Superman complex there, being Nate Newcomer.
Yeah, he's continuing to stretch that lead quite a bit. I think he's gained about 0.3 this lap. Definitely good battle between P2 and P5, though.
Absolutely. Finley Harvey Brown in 7th place, currently 8 tenths up, being challenged on the inside by Dave Crew, my own teammate for endurance events. Great move, Dave. Dave then now moves up into 7th place, and already seeing the start to extend away, etc. Now, Zach, there's no such thing as DRS or anything like that in this series, is there?
Absolutely not.
Nope. GT4, no DRS, no tyre warmers. Brakes are not as effective as those on GT3s, essentially these cars are much less powered than their GT3 bigger brothers. But the Porsches are my ultimate favourite out there. I think they just handle absolutely fantastic. What's your favourite?
Yeah, I think the Mercedes is one of my favorites, followed by the Porsche. The Porsche is a very stable car, so it is very fun to drive. I think it suffers a little bit from the BOP, but that doesn't say that it doesn't do well at certain tracks. These GT4 cars definitely don't produce the same amount of downforce, so it's definitely a lot more fun to drive on the limit here. You're going to see a lot of these cars kind of wiggling or dancing on the limit there, as we did with CSAM earlier. Yeah.
Dancing. I'm tomato, dancing. Dancing on the limit. A lot of them are going to be seeing that, and of course, as Zach said, as Xerax says, and you'll notice that by the sort of the offset that the drivers are given with their inputs. If they're coming to the right, they've got a little bit of left and a little bit of right. Dancing around to maintain as much traction as they possibly can. Great stuff. All right, so coming towards the end of the second lap, right at the front there, let's have a quick rundown. We've got Nate Newcomer there. Nate Newcomer just exiting out of the Superman complex. In fact, coming into the last part of the parabolic at T14. Be interested to see what his lap was. His last lap was 1:53.502. He's 1/10 up at the minute, so it'll be about the same, which it is. But of course, that's great continuity for him. Into T1. Already you can see behind there that block of 4 in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, which is Hacks, Badowski, Napone and CSAM. Finley Brown in 6th place in a space of his own. Carbon now has just moved. Carbon now is being challenged by Dave Crew, who we can see in the McLaren. Dave Crew now being challenged by Lex. I'm going to call him Lex. It's actually Lec WX Leonardo. So I either call him a turtle or Lex. So I'll call him Lex. So Lex putting on the pressure to Dave Crew. Jamie McKee Rodders out there in the Audi. Again, unusual to see him in the Audi. I know he just inherently doesn't like them. So it's quite interesting that he's in the Audi. Perhaps that's a wider league strategy to see actually whether this particular car doesn't benefit itself somewhere else. And then Adam Sharp in 11th place. You want to run down the rest? I'll just flip the camera onto it, Xerax.
Yeah, no problem. Let me pull up my race record real quick.
So we're on Wardman at the minute, who's just exited the chicane and now into the S's section. His last lap was a 1:55.416. Currently 4/10 up, so doing quite well. Now on to Sam Snytrain.
Yeah, Sam Snytrain in the Porsche. The last lap he did a 1:54.5. He's coming through into turn 5, I believe. Sorry, that was turn 11. Next we have Jeff Cookboor. His last lap was a 1:53. He's in P14 right now. He's also in the Porsche. The two Porsches sitting side by side together in this grid. Really interested to see if they do better later in the race just because of the less tire wear. I think that's going to play into a huge advantage if so. Next we have Jody Barclow.
Yeah, Barclow.
Barclow. His last lap was a 1:54.582. He's currently 2/10 up right now. Getting a little bit of draft off that Porsche up ahead. See what he does up into turn 1. Next we have Justin Madley. His last lap was a 1:54.3. Pretty much on pace for that same lap this lap right now. He's in the Porsche, so another one in the Porsche. Love that livery too. That blue against that kind of
beautiful
cream color is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Next, we have Corolla Usman. His last lap was a 1:53.9. He is in the Assen. Very popular choice with this league. Quite a few Assens running in all 3 tiers. And it's interesting to see how they'll do for the remainder of the race. Next, we have Oliver Curtin. In the Alpine, very interesting car choice. Not a very popular car choice. Wasn't very good in the hot scent, so it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out with the rest of the tracks for this league. His last lap was a 1:55.8, and he's currently 7/10 up right now. Next, in P19, we have Jake Moore in the Audi. His last lap was a 1:56.589, and he has Jacques Jax right on his tail right now in that BMW. Just about 1/10 back. You know, Jake is definitely feeling the pressure there. Jacques was 1:56 last lap. He's pretty much on pace for that right now. Next, we have a common RWB member that you guys all familiar with. We have Ben Ersley. He's up 6/10 right now. He's in the 808 car, another Aston Martin car. Currently up 5/10. Great going into, I think, the Superman complex. Making a move up here on this KTM, who is in Ignacy Buzik.
Boot check.
Sorry. I'm going to get better with these pronunciations.
No, I don't know because during the week we had some backwards and forwards. He said, "Oh, you nearly got it right. It's Buchek." And then I said, "Oh, right, okay, Buchek, got it." No, and he's like, "No, it's Buchek." Yeah, Buchek.
Yep, Buchek in the KTM. And currently in P25. Did a 1:54.9 last lap. And it's a great battle between P21 through P24. Really close racing into turn 1 here. Next, we have Ian Simclaus. He did a 1:54.6 last lap. He's in the Aston Martin. Next, we have in P24 Alex Smith, 1:56 flat. Pretty much on pace with the Aston Martin. So again, this Aston Martin's a very popular choice within Tier 1. Next, we have a RWB member, RWB Helmet. He took a little bit of damage on lap 1. He got into a collision into Tier 2, so I think he's already done his mandatory pit. So it'll be interesting to see if the undercut works out for him. He did a 1:55 last lap. The next position, P26, Goreg Portwick. He is in the Mercedes. Did a 1:54.3 last lap. Kind of getting free track right now. I'm not sure if he pitted. It'll be interesting to see if he makes up some time in the next part of the race. Next with P27, Martin Locke. Did a 2:47 last lap. So I think he probably went into the pit. So the pit window here at Hungaroring is about 40 seconds for a full pit stop. He's in the Porsche. Love that purple livery. Next,
Beautiful.
we have Don Jordan, who's in the Aston Martin. He did a 1:54.2, so a fairly quick time, probably in the top half of the grid for lap times. So he'll probably make up some time. Probably did an early pit. Next in P29 we have Dot Door. He is in the McLaren. Did a 2-minute 53 second lap last lap. Probably again went into the pits to do an undercut strategy. Next, Philip Varlay. He is in the Aston Martin. He did a 155.494 last lap. He also went into the pits, so on the undercut strategy. And in P31 to close it up, we have Gapsy, very popular RWB member. He's in P31. He did a 155 last lap, and he also did a pit. So we have a lot of guys in the back right now. They're doing the undercut strategy. What do you think, Ty? Do you think that's really going to play into their favor in the later half of this race?
I think so, yes. And the reason why I say that is because the GT4 cars are easier on the tyres. So I think it may well be of benefit. But I think, had they been 10 laps in, it would have been far better than 1 lap in. So yes, in theory, it will be good for them, good for Gabsy now. He can just go the long stretch, He's got the pace as well that he won't be in 31st for long. He's only 5 seconds behind Varlay. Varlay and Gabsy are not the sort of bottom of the tier 1 runners. They have the ability to climb the ladder, and if the race was infinite, to a point that people would eventually level out into their positions of speed and ability, then Gabsy and Varlay are not in their normal place of 30 and 31. So they will climb the ladder, they will climb the position ladder, and because they haven't got a pit, that may well be an advantage. We'll see, won't we, in an hour's time?
Yeah, absolutely. Don Jordan, just to give you an example, he is pulling lap times that would put him into P6 right now.
Yeah.
So he'll definitely make up some ground over the long stint of this race.
Absolutely. Let's have a quick reminder of what's going on at the front. Now we've gone through the field. I think that's very important. Everyone gets some screen time. Just because you're in 28th doesn't mean to say we're not going to be watching you. There are races everywhere. It only takes 2 to race. And as you've seen so far, there are groups of 3 and 4 out there that are racing. So Nate Newcomer, way out in the front there, has got bags of time before C-Hacks. Hacks is... there's Hacks there in the McLaren. Let's jump in cockpit with Hacks to see what he sees. He's currently coming up the hill. There's Nate Newcomer, currently coming up the hill towards T6 and 7, which is the chicane. And Nate Newcomer already is starting to enter the exit, enter the S's at T8 and T9. C-Hacks 3.6 seconds down from Nate Newcomer. Not a problem, really. What is a problem for Hacks, of course, is having those two behind you. Napone and Badowski, and of course CSAM. I mean, crikey, I wouldn't want to be I wouldn't want to be Hacks right now for all the tea in China. To have those 3 behind you. I probably wouldn't have said that about Napone about a year ago, but I certainly say that about Napone now. And you can see here, can't you? Napone is really putting the pressure on Hacks, but Hacks can be a cool character, and he'll just breathe in and he'll just take it, as we see CSAM go a little bit wide there. But good battle for this second, third, and fourth positions here.
Yeah, I think this has actually played out into Nate Newcomer's kind of his domain perfectly for him, not having to battle with these guys behind him. I can't help but think Hacks is maybe losing a little bit of time because he's trying to play a little bit more defensive, trying to keep those guys in the rear view mirror. He's probably losing a little bit of time to P1 right now. It's an absolute great battle behind, though. Really good racing to watch.
Yeah, I just see Sam coming into T1 there. Just gave Badowski a little bum kiss, just to let him know he was there. Just to let you know I'm there, Badowski. Here's a little bum kiss for you. But no harm done at all, and certainly not done on purpose. Quite these guys are right on the limits of their own ability. As we see Napone go straight into the wall, the KTM made out of tissue paper. As he now rejoins the track, hopefully no harm done, but that's significantly put Napone down into essentially what, 5th place?
Yeah, P5, and that was such an easy place to lose it to. That turn 4, you just take a little bit too much to curve there, and it spits you right out like we saw.
Yeah, so Napone now lost his position there, but at the minute, no harm done, so to speak, a couple of places. What he's got to do now, of course, is just, reassess and calm down and maybe close that gap to CSAM. Close that gap to CSAM. That is a misnomic statement, if ever I've heard one. But his group of 4 is there. Now, chasing CSAM is, of course, Napone, and chasing Napone right now is Harvey Brown. and Harvey Brown is wanting part of the show. He's wanting in. He wants to be part of that second, third and fourth battle. So, you know, Napone, you've got a little bit of space to catch up, but watch out because you've got Harvey Brown behind you.
Yeah, so much of this racing is so mental too. So being able to come back from a crash like that, get your composure back and just put your head down and put in laps is so crucial. Luckily for Napone, I'm not seeing very much damage on his car, so I think he's going to be okay for the rest of the race. We'll just have to see how he recovers.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he just got away with it, didn't he? When he came off the first time out, just managed to scrape the Armco with the side of the car. And then again, when he came off on the coming into T6 and 7 at the chicane, after the chicane, he just exited onto the grass. So perhaps no harm done. The point is he's now caught back up into that group of second, third and fourth. And so, you know, he's still within the battle, so to speak. Harvey Brown behind there, as I said earlier, wants part of it. Through Blind Man goes Napone and Harvey Brown. So this group here, we can probably say 5 cars now, you know, are all in their own separate group, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give you an example, Napone actually went his fastest sector that last lap, so I don't think he's got too much damage there.
No. In cockpit with Rodders, Jamie McKee chasing down Carbon, and in front of Carbon is Lex Leonardo. Again, you know, Jamie, very quick racer. We all know him from his days with us at RWB. Very, very quick, very talented. Only ever races in VR, even in an ACC. Completely and utterly naked, plugged into his Camelback and all of his sustenance that he needs for the next hour. But a very, very quick racer, and undoubtedly we'll see some brave moves and some great racecraft from Jamie for the rest of the race, as he's certainly applying on the pressure to Carbon.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see that Camaro, you know, in that position in P8 right now. It's very competitive. It's really hard to miss it though with that bright yellow livery, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, crikey, yeah, and you know, and it is a beast of a machine as well. I mean, it screams out. Listen to this. It's just marvelous. I think it's got, if anything, it deserves an award for the best sounding engine. And if you haven't tried this particular car in the GT4 DLC for Assetto Corsa Competizione, what are you doing? Go and try it now, immediately. It is a huge amount of fun. It's like a, what did I say earlier on? It's like a trampoline on wheels on amphetamine. It's madness. It's a huge amount of fun. Very forgiving, actually. Probably because it's so high. You know, the ride height is so high. But probably the most fun car that you'll have out there is Jamie McKee challenging on the outside. Coming up to the Blind Man. That is a real brave place to challenge. Pushes Carbon over to the right hand side, and actually allows him to rejoin. That was very obvious. But Carbon probably holding up McKee now. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie's got some speed here. It was a little tricky to go through T4 like that. Someone was about to go off track, but they're definitely professionals and they're definitely making this a good race.
Yeah, for sure they are. Absolutely. I think we should stay with McKee for a little while, with Jamie for a little while, because I think he's going to have Carbon probably through on the exit to the exit of the S's. I think because that he's obviously very comfortable with that Audi. Look at the speed he's carrying through here, and as he challenges, as I said, down into the Superman complex, exit of the S's. He's certainly a wheel in front and certainly got that corner there, and he goes through now into 8th place.
Yeah, you could absolutely tell the acceleration on the Audi. Just give it the corner exit. And as he's on the outside, a little bit of a bump. The Camaro got back into the position. He lets him go by, though. What a great racecraft.
Yeah, fair play. And I think Dave Cruz just snuck up the inside, just sneaked his way in. And Dave Cruz now moved. A bit cheeky, but you know what? All's fair in love and Hungaroring. So Dave Crew now up into 9th place, and Carbon has now essentially lost 2 places there, back down into 10th place. But don't write him off. He deserved the place of 8th, so you know he's still in a challenging position. Behind them, we've got 2 other guys. We've got Kepler and Usama in cockpit with Usama. Obviously, these guys are having a good little race between the pair of them, and coming into what is essentially T2. And that was a bit of a tap coming into there. I don't think it was done on purpose. No harm done. But we've got to be careful. You know, these GT4 cars, the brakes are not as sharp. It takes longer for them to warm up. It takes less for them to cool down. And as such, they're not as effective. And so, and we see a lot of that, particularly in the early stages of races with sort of what looks like late braking. But it's not late braking, it's just ineffective braking.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was in turn 2 as well, where it's a downhill sweeper left-hand turn. So if you get heavy on that brakes to stop for traffic, you're going to lose the back end.
Yeah, for sure. Stop press, Zach. Look, Napone has got a drive-through.
Yeah, I think that collision cost him a few off-track warnings, and he just went a little bit wide and got that drive-through. Drive-through is about 27 seconds at the Hungaroring, so it's definitely going to make a factor.
Bang, you heard it here first. 27 seconds for a drive-through. Let's watch him now as he comes in and does his drive-through. There we go. ACC, you need to be in first gear in order for the automatic pit limiter to click on. And it is very, very strict. If you're just 1 mile an hour over that line, then you are going to get another drive-through, and or even a stop and go actually for pit lane speeding, and there's nothing worse. I'm going to put my hand up and say I got two drive-throughs on the bounce on the last endurance event with Dave Crew, who was partnering me, and on both occasions, bless his heart, he said, "Don't worry, Tiger, we'll just go around and come back in again." But I knew he was absolutely seething because it was a mistake that I didn't need to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Those team races, it's hard to let your teammate down too.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Moore, we just see Jake go through there, and where is Jake on here? Jake is currently 30. Oh my goodness gracious, what happened there? Let's go back 30 seconds. Let's jump into cockpit. We're in cockpit with Jake. He goes past Napone, coming into T1. Into T1 now. Coming around T1. All well so far. Chasing Wardman, currently in 11th place. Coming into T2, which is the Parabolica, which goes downhill. You can see now Kepler hits. Carbon is in the middle there. Jake just moves out to the side. So, you know, something happened there, which meant that, it was actually Kepler, wasn't it? So we're going to ride with Kepler now. Let's go chasing Kepler. It was actually. It was. Oh, crap. We can see there. We see Carbon get hit. Dave Crew loses the position as Sama goes through. Kepler goes through, and as we know, Jake Moore also went through. Such a shame that happened. Never mind.
Yeah, absolutely. That turn 2 is catching a lot of people out. Again, it's really hard to follow close there. Can't slam on the brakes or you lose the back end of the car.
And of course, the other difficulties you're seeing here is now is getting the car sorted back out and, you know, getting back on it. Dave Crew has gone down essentially what is, 8 positions. He's lost 8 positions as a result of that one little tap. Through Blind Man, of course, now the car will be perhaps slightly damaged. The aerodynamics, as you heard earlier on, downforce, it generally is not a strong point for these cars. I'm not sure whether Dave Crew just carry on going. We're now back on the main feed. What you were seeing there was the replay. Top tip for you: if you don't see any detail on the screen, if you don't see any timetable or anything else, that means we're in a replay, and we went back and done one of the replays. We're now back real time. We can see there Dave Crew being challenged by Simclaus. Back up to the front though. Mate Newcomer now, 4.5 seconds out in front with Badowski. Didn't take long, did it, for him to climb up. Remember how quick Badowski was in the qualifying. No one could touch him. He was, 1 second in front of everyone, Zach?
Yeah, 51.9. He was easily 1 second in front of P2.
Wow. Finley Harvey Brown in the Audi, we saw him earlier on, was challenging and also lost a couple of positions. But ultimately, if you remember, I said he was hanging on the back of that group of 2nd, 3rd and 4th and 5th. And as I usually say, like a peregrine, just sweeps down and takes the bait. And has he done exactly that and moved up to 3rd place, which is great news for him. CSAM in 4th, as we saw CSAM again pushing hard as that group of 4. So CSAM in 4th place, much more comfortable for him to be there. But earlier on I said to be careful and watch out for this guy, Jamie McKee, or Rodders. He's now up into 6th place. We'll keep an eye on that differential there as he crosses the line. He's 3.2 seconds behind Lex, so we'll see how he does and how he catches up.
Yeah, we have some comments in the YouTube chat asking where Napone came out after that drive-through. He did come out in P10, so he did lose 6 positions because of that drive-through.
Yeah, 6 positions. But keep your eye on Napone because, right in front of him as 10th place, as 9th place goes wide, or is that a back marker? Not quite sure. SA is slightly difficult. But Napone in 10th place, he's got 3 seconds. He's got 3 seconds to climb to Wardman. Let's have a look at Wardman. In fact, no, he's in front of Wardman now, surely. Yeah, he is. Yeah, it was Wardman that went wide. The timetable that you're seeing on the left there doesn't update immediately. I'm afraid that's nothing to do with us. That's an ACC-ism. There we go. It's now updated, so we can see Wardman there that we're looking at in the McLaren. And again, loses 2 places. Look at that. Wonderful move there. I think that was Snail Train. Wonderful move from Snail Train. I don't think his name is Snail Train, but it is now Snail Train. Snail Train, wonderful move there onto Wardman on the inside, coming into what was T8, and essentially just snuck in, didn't he, and secured that position.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful move. The door was just slightly open, and he put his car right through there.
Yeah. This group here, we're seeing Snail Train, Madley, Bootcheck, and Rick Binnersley. Nice little group here in cockpit with Rick Binnersley. You can see you've got a wonderful view there under the gantry, down the hill to T11, to T11, down into T12 Alpha. And now we're in the Superman complex, this huge sort of S, this parabolica running into another parabolica. Very wonderful part of a circuit. But you can get it right or you can get it very wrong. No one goes into the pits. I have seen someone before, think they were taking a tighter line as Wardman just gets out of shape and loses some grip on the rear wheels there. And Rick Binnersley sees it in front of him, quite happy, and just gives it a little bit of right steering to avoid it, but ultimately put his foot down and rejoins.
Yeah, that exit out of T14 is so crucial to get right too, because it's on that long straight before the finish line. You lose a lot of speed if you don't get on the throttle nice and early there.
Yeah, and it is actually a wide apex. It's not an acute apex. So, when you come across a corner like T14, the last corner at Hungaroring, you can actually come onto the power quite early, almost, just before the apex, and you've still got enough room to go wide to the left and not actually, invoke any sort of track penalties. Cool. Rick Binnersley having a great race out there in 14th place. Dave Crew already up into 15th place. We saw he lost 8 places off that problem at T2, where he got hit, I think, by the huge monster of carbon, the Camaro. Is it the Camaro? It's not a Camaro, is it? It is Camaro, isn't it?
Yep, Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, Camaro. And I think carbon actually hit Dave Crew, which caused them both to spin. So Dave Crew up to 15th place. Ian Simclaus in 16th. Carbon in 17th. Helmet got some space in front of him and behind him. Behind him, Alex Smith and Oliver Curtin, who always favours yellow. You can always tell it's Oliver Curtin because he'll be in a yellow car. Jake obviously not having a good race here, Speed Demon. I know he's just recently got some new hardware, but this isn't an ability issue. I think this is probably a car issue and time with the car. As I said, I know he hasn't had a lot of time with that car in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like he went into the pits a little bit earlier. His last lap was a 2:32, so he probably got the undercut out of the way.
Yeah, sure. Then we've got Portwick in 22, Latch in 23. We've got Don Jordan in 24, Jody Barrowclough in 25th, Dot Door in 26th. I know it's not Dot Door, but it is now Dot Door. Phil Varley, very unusual to see him down there. Obviously still not recovered from the problem at the beginning. Phil Varlay, usually one of the top runners, had a really great race the other day. Which was around Suzuka. Like to see him climb with 43 minutes left to go. Now the time multiplication is on ×2. It's a 75-minute race. It started at 6 o'clock, so in theory, real time. Well, actually, yeah, it's ×2, so it should finish at 7:30, but clearly it's not. It's be slightly in front of that because of the qualifying. Adam Sharp in 28. Then we've got Jax in 29 and Gareth Rowlands or Gabsy in 30th. No one's retired yet as far as I can see.
Yep, and as the track warms up because the sun's coming up, we've increased about 3 degrees Celsius. It'll be interesting to see how that affects the tires. As it warms up, those tires, the pressures are going to come out of their ideal range. So you're going to see a little bit less grip out of these cars. Yeah,
very good point. Indeed, you can see the top right-hand corner there. Is there a chance of any rain? In 5 minutes, no. In 15 minutes, no. Track is now optimum grip. And of course, as Zach says, you've got the temperatures of the track there. And that is modelled. You know, temperatures of tyres and temperatures of the track and the environment is modelled. And so, as Zach says, they will see the benefit of them. And at the same time, you know, they will wear quicker.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if maybe Nate Newcomer maybe had an off at one point. I know he was up a 4-second gap between P2 and Marco's really closed that gap now. Only 1 second divides the two.
Yeah, great view from the KTM there. I mean, the KTM is essentially a track, a fun track car. It's like a go-kart, and they just put a roof on it. But you know, it's obviously in the right hands. It's an exceptional car, and Podolski is one of those. As was who else did we see at the top there that was in KTM? I can't remember.
Napone, who's back up to P9.
So Napone currently in P9, chasing down Kelpor. Is that Kelpor? Kepler. Chasing down Kepler. So that view, some people either loathe it or love it, but you know, I don't think it impedes that much. You know, it's just like having a pillar, really. If we look at Kelpor, you know, you've got the A pillar there. It's no different with Napone. In fact, look how much he can see, rather than what you can't see. In a more sort of strict, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? A normal car. A KTM is a normal car, but it's just not normal to see it with a roof. I don't think you can buy them, can you?
I think you can. I know KTM makes a motorcycle, so this is kind of weird for them to do a car. But did you see that move around the outside by Napone? What a move.
I think we should go back, and I think we should see that, actually. Let's have a look here with Napone. Let's jump in the cockpit with Napone. In fact, let's jump in the cockpit with Napone. We're in the cockpit with Napone now as he's coming up to essentially T2. Has he already taken him? Yeah, he took him already. Crikey. But yeah, great move by Napone. Great spot. So Napone now up to 8th, I think.
Yeah, he's in P8 right now. He's really closing that gap. I think he's still got to do one more pit. The drive-through does not count as the mandatory pit, I don't believe. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up.
Now, when the pit comes in, what have they got to do, Zach? Have they got to change tyres? Have they got to take on fuel? What have they got to do?
That is completely up to the driver. This league, there is no mandatory tire change. You do have to take fuel, but you can take as little as 1 liter. So you can really, the strategies are really up to the driver for this league.
Yeah. There you go. So it's entirely up to them what they do. Stop press. Hacks is out. Apparently had a game crash. That's such a shame that he had that, because he was right up there and undoubtedly would have finished well. Nothing worse than something happening that's not as a result of your thumbs. What we call a thumbs mistake. If it's software, there's nothing more annoying in my view. Because you can't do anything about it. If it was your hardware or if it was you, that's perfectly fine. You know where the problems are. But when all of a sudden there's a sim crash, what can you do about that? Nothing.
Yep, absolutely nothing. And just to give an update, Nate Newcomer has come into the pits for his mandatory pit stop change. So we do have a lead change. Marco's leading the pack.
Right, Marco Badowski back out there where he's comfortable, I think, which is out leading. We saw he qualified first. He then dropped coming in the first lap. The exit of T1 lost him 2 places, and into T2, he was back down into 3rd place. And then before you know it, he was in that pack of 4, wasn't he? Fighting for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. So Badowski out there in 1st place at the minute is where he likes to be. But of course, he's got a pit. So if he was to pit on this lap, where would you think he'd come out, Zach?
I'm not sure. He would probably be coming out right around P6, P5, I would have to guess. It looks like there's a pretty big gap between P7. But yeah, the 27 or 40-second gap is what they need. So let's see where he comes out in relation to Nate Newcomer. It'll be interesting with the open track to see if he puts in a quicker time this lap. Yeah.
Now, let's use this opportunity. Let's talk about setup. Let's talk about car setup. We'll talk about the Racing Sim Tools app in a minute. But can you give us, for the layman, when it comes to setting up a car, if you're just setting it up with using the tools that are in ACC, and you're not inclined to spend a great deal of time, energy, and effort into understanding intimately how racing cars work, and you just want to affect the sort of handling of the car, what are the sorts of things that you can look at and play around with to get a quick effect in some place?
Yeah, so that's a great question. When it comes to being able to push the car, most drivers are really talking about the balance of the car. And what the balance is just how the car handles in the corners. Does it oversteer? Does it turn into the corners a little bit too much? Does it understeer? Does it push to the corner? And the way you can really adjust that just with 3 things are going to be the springs. If you feel like the car's oversteering, you can soften that rear spring up just a little bit. The ARBs or the ride height. The ride height in ACC makes a huge difference in the balance of these cars. So just a millimeter or 2 of adjustment can really affect how the car feels.
Wow, thank you very much. So if you want the car to turn in and grip more, then you're basically going to soften the spring rate. Is that right?
Yeah, so if you want the car to turn in, you would probably increase that rear spring just a little bit. What that's going to do is allow the rear to break traction a little bit sooner just so you can get the car turned in. Or just raise the rear ride height a click or 2.
Yeah, well, there you go. You heard it there. That's for the layman. So play around with that, okay? So we're talking spring settings, the hardness of the spring, the ride height, and the roll bars. Soften it at the front, harden it at the back, raise the back a little bit. Play around with those areas. Get used to how the car reacts when you play around with those areas. And then if you wanted to get more, not complicated, but complex, if you really wanted to evaluate how your car handles, you've got to try Racing Sim Tools app. You have to try it. Essentially, you fire it up, you do a couple of laps, and you're able to look at real-time telemetry that's captured, and then you're able to essentially make sense of that telemetry to see how the car reacts around that particular track with your particular driving style. Why don't you tell us about the app, Zach? It's your baby. You're our sponsor at RWB, and we want to be able to let everybody know firsthand how great this bloody app is. So can you tell us about it?
Yeah, exactly. So what Racing Sim Tools is we try to provide the calculated channels for you guys. That way you guys don't have to do the math. You don't need to know all the engineering behind the data. And what we do is we try to train the drivers to read those graphs. So you're not doing the engineering, you're just reading the graphs and then making changes from that. It's not like Motec where you get raw data and you have to know all the formulas and how to change it to get, insightful data to make adjustments on. You don't have to configure a bunch of graphs to get it to display just right. RST is kind of a turnkey solution. Like Tiger said, you just load it up, run some laps, and then read the manual. It tells you how to read all the graphs and then make set up adjustments from there. And a lot of really good data you can find. We're also working with Nils right now. He's a pro esports player. He's providing data. So if you're losing time and you're not sure where, you can go into the data database, pull in a professional's lap time, and see what his braking throttle inputs are to see where you're losing that time.
Wow. There you go. So, how do we get hold of it? How does someone go along and buy it? Where do they get it from?
Yeah, so racingsimtools.com is our website. We also have a Discord. The Discord link is on that website. It's a great place if you even if you don't have the tool, you just have setup questions, we happily help you guys. We're really trying to bring knowledge to the community and really empower people to be able to make their own setups.
Absolutely. And if you're listening to the stream and you want to have a crack at Racing Sim Tools app, and you don't know, you want to give it a crack, then you know what, Xerax and Racing Sim Tools, they've got a wonderful Discord, very open community, always there to help, etc. And if you message the right people, I believe you're doing a 10% off at the minute. Is that right?
Yep, exactly. And if you're in the league, because of the sponsorship, we do give you guys a free copy for ACC for the license. That's part of our sponsorship. So please post in the RWB Discord.
There you go. You heard it here. You heard it here first. Xerax is going to get 1,000 messages later on. If you're in the GT4 league, you're an RWB member, then let Xerax know and you'll get your key. And you know what? If you're not using Racing Sim Tools, then you're missing a trick. In my view, you're missing a trick. It's a great tool. When I fire it up, I get lost in it, and by that I mean before I know it, 8 hours have gone by, and I've made very little impact because I'm too interested in actually all the different things that it does. I get distracted very easily. So yeah, do try it and see how you get on. Wonderful. Let's have a rundown, shall we? Do you think you can take us from the top?
Yeah, exactly. Harvey Brown in P1 right now. 22 laps in. He hasn't done a pit yet. We'll see where he stands once he comes into the pit. Uzma, who's also hasn't done a pit yet. He's running about, looks like 26 seconds behind. So we'll see what happens here. Pretty far gap between P1 and P2. P3, Badowski in the KTM. He has done his pit, so he was leading the pack. He is now in P3 right now, so he has gained position over Nate Newcomer through the pits, and so that really worked out in his favor. Cookboor in the Porsche P4 right now, hasn't done a pit, so he'll probably be coming in pretty soon. 30 minutes left in the race, so he's got to make it sometime soon.
Stop press, Zach. Usama's just got a drive-through.
Oh man, a drive-through. That's going to be huge too, because that does not count as your pit, and it is about a 27-second delta. So that's going to put him well back. Going back to our rundown, Snell Train, another Porsche P5. These two Porsches have been running right behind one another this whole race, it seems like. He has not done his pit yet, so he'll be coming in soon. Bennersley, he's in P6 right now, has not done a pit. He's about 4 seconds back between the guy ahead. C-Sam, he has done his pit. He is in P7 right now. So he has made a position over Nate Newcomer right now. I think right now he will be in P2 once everyone else does his pit. So he's definitely one to watch right now. Then we have Nate Newcomer. He's in P3. He has done his pit. He was leading the race for most of this race. So we'll see where he ends up. He's in P3 right now if you don't consider anyone that's pitted, so we'll have to see if he can make a position or two. Cabon in the Camaro has not done his pit in P9. P10, we have RWB Helmet. He has done his pit. He's in the BMW, putting really good, consistent lap times in. His last lap was a 1:55.4. Oliver Curtin in the yellow Alpine. Tiger said it's really easy to spot his car. He's always in the yellow car. Pretty easy to spot. But he's in P11 right now, and he has done his pit. So he's doing actually a really good job for this car. I would not have expected that car to be in the position it is right now in these Tier 1 and this higher competition league. P12 is Jake Moore. He has done his pit. He's in P12 right now. He did a 1:54.2. So maybe some later pace in this race. He's definitely picked it up quite a bit. Next in P13, we have Napone. He is in P13. He has done his second pit stop. So he has done his drive-through and his mandatory pit stop. So he's going to be putting down the hammer and trying to make up some of these positions, in the next 28 minutes. Next in P14, we have Thomas Wardman. He has done his pit. He's in the McLaren. Great car through here. Next, we have Alex Smith in P15. He has not done his pit yet, so he'll be coming in pretty soon. Next, we have Wex.
Yeah, Lex being challenged by Jamie McKee.
Yep. Oh, yeah, being challenged right there with the Audi. You can definitely see the acceleration in the Audi. Let's see if you can make it and do these S's here. Oh, yep, got it done. So that will be P16 for Jamie, who has done a pit. So he's free to roam. Next we have Buchek, who is in P18, has done his pit. Gorig Portwig, who is in P19, who has done a pit. Doing a last lap was a 156.1 in the Mercedes. So I'm kind of curious if the Mercedes is starting to maybe lose a little bit of time. It's a little bit heavier than the car, so maybe the tire wear is a little bit higher. It'll be interesting to see how both Mercedes fare the next 27 minutes.
Yeah.
Next we have Martin Lott, who has done his pit. He did a 155.1 last lap. And he's definitely being challenged by Don Jordan, who's in that Aston Martin right behind him, going into turn 1. Next, we have Don Jordan, who's in that Aston, about 3 tenths behind Locke in the Porsche. Definitely going to be trying to make a move in this next few laps. He did a 155.1 last lap, so he's got a little bit more pace than the Porsche, but we'll have to see. One thing to have pace, it's another thing to get around another car.
Yep.
Next, we have Jody Barclow. He is in P22. He's in the Aston Martin. Next, we have Dot Dorr, who is in the McLaren. He did a 155.6 last lap. He's also done his pit, so he's good to the end of the race. Next, we have Adam Sharp, who is in P24. His last lap was a 154.2, so a very fast lap. He's done his pit. He did his pit on lap 7. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to maintain this pace as those tires, wear down. He had to do an early pit, either because of undercut or I don't know if he got in a wreck, but it'll be interesting to watch. Next, we have Dave Crew in P25. Dave Crew is in the McLaren. He got in that incident. It looks like he's repaired the damage in the pit, so that car looks, pretty spanking new. So, sometimes it's easier just to clean up the car than fighting it for, the next 45 minutes or, when he got into that incident. Car looks really good, though. Next, we have Ian Simclaus. He's in P26. Last lap was a 155.0, and he's done his pit. Then we have Philip Varlay, who is in P27, being challenged by Justin Madley through turns 6 and 7. You can see Justin Madley is definitely trying to make a move through here in the next few turns, it looks like. On board with Justin, he's in the Porsche. He did a 154.7, so quite a bit quicker than Philip on the last lap.
Yeah, I'm steer on that.
Yeah, wow. You can tell that's probably the tire. That has got to be that tire wear. It's probably really starting to struggle. Track temperature has come up quite a bit. We're at 21°C now. Cloud covers went from 40% down to 20%, so it's continued to heat up as these tires get older too. So it's definitely going to be, those tires are going to be screaming at the drivers. And then in P28 we have Gapsy, who is in the Aston. He's done his pit, and his last lap was a 154.8. He's got a little bit of a gap between him and Justin, so he's got free track to for the next 24 minutes.
Awesome. And we've only had one retirer. Two retirees. Hacks, who retired, and I do believe Jax has retired as well. But outside of that, I think with 24 minutes and 25 seconds left to go, I think they're all pretty good, aren't they? And they're all starting to iron out now. Now, I think we'll do some intelligent selection now. We're going to these two, Smith and Buchek, because Smith Buchek, who was challenging Smith, these two side by side coming out on the outside, coming through the exit of the Superman complex. Buchek's got the inside there, so he will get that. He'll be on the power sooner, and he's away, and away he goes. Usama has got a stop and go 30-second penalty. What's that possibly for, Zach?
Oh, he's probably maybe left the pits a little bit too fast. Maybe he drive through the pit stop without the pit limiter. Again, the pit stop, the where you have to hit the 50 kilometers per hour is very sensitive. If you just go slightly over that, you get hit with a stop and go.
Yeah. Looking at Justin Madley and Varley and Roland's Gabsy, these three here having a hell of a battle there. Let's jump into cockpit with Gabsy, who got first he's got a first seat position looking at the back end of Madley and the back end of Varlay. We just see, you know, we were in the cockpit with Madley earlier on. The understeer on that Porsche is quite something, but Madley is certainly holding it and you know, pushing it to its limits. But you know, these three here, Varlay, Madley and Gabsy, I mean, there are a couple of close races throughout the field, but you know, this certainly is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that Aston with Varlay getting a little bit loose on the exit.
And that was Phil Varlay. Let's go back 10 seconds in cockpit with him. Yeah, brakes, understeers, and goes off. Now, I'm not sure why he's done that, because... And has he retired?
Maybe a hardware issue. Maybe his brakes or something.
I think he's retired, Zach. He's retired. It didn't look like, did it? It didn't look like it was something wrong with the car. He almost went straight on, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely not an issue. And there was no contact either, so it definitely some type of hardware technical difficulty or maybe a crash. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, well, we're sorry about that, Varley. Never mind, Phil. You've always got next week. Let's have another look at a couple of battles going along around here. Well, we've got Rick Binnersley, who's chasing some guys. We've got Jake Moore, who's chasing down Oliver Curtin. We've got Alex Smith from Buchek, who we just saw earlier on. Dan Jordan, Barra Clough. We was just seeing Latch come off there. I don't know where Latch. Let's have a look. Latch, what happened to him? Let's go back 10 seconds. Oh, too late. We can go 30 seconds on that. No, we can't. So in the Porsche there, perhaps a bit of an understeer coming out of the... you only have to put the power on a little bit too early out of that last corner, T14, and it'll snap you around. The Porsche is quite well known for that anyway.
Yeah, and T14 is such a long sweeping turn too. It's really hard to be patient and not get on the power too early.
Thomas Warden just got himself a stop-and-go penalty, undoubtedly for the pits again, Zach. What advice can you give to people when it comes down to the stop-and-go penalty that usually awarded as a result of speeding in the pit lane?
Yeah, so I always just wait just a split second after the pit line just to make sure I've absolutely cleared the pit wall. Sometimes it feels like you got to get on the track as soon as possible, but you end up losing 30 seconds just because you waited a tenth or two too soon. And when you're doing the stop go, it's really important to time it just right. You have 3 laps to make that call, so you want to make sure you're in a position where you're losing time. Maybe if you're stuck behind traffic or something like that, that's when you want to take that stop and go.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to exiting the pits, I think a lot of people, they get, as soon as they get past the line, you know, and they disconnect the pit limiter, especially if it's manually done. Sometimes the rear wheels are just on the sort of line, and of course you're working with a computer program. You know, you're working with algorithms in the background. It will know whether you're in that stretch, and I think that's where a lot of people get their stop and go penalties on. Because we've all heard them like, there's no way I'd left the pits when I had the... Well, clearly you hadn't, because otherwise you wouldn't have got the stop and go penalty. But yeah, so yeah, take the advice, take the top tip for anyone who gets stop and go penalties. I've done it so many times myself, you know, especially on manual. I think it's wise to put it on auto, but there you go. Cool, Madley and Gabsy there having their Welsh brethren. Having their fight down at 26th and 27th. Now, you know, you only need 2 cars to race. These guys aren't normally at the bottom of a tier, I can assure you. So you know, it doesn't stop them enjoying their racing. So good for them. Let's revisit the front though. Finley Harvey Brown still out there leading in first position. He's got 29 seconds on Badowski. Badowski pitted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pitted. I'm missing my pit information, Zach.
Yeah. The race director tool is a little bit finicky, but Marco Badowski has pitted.
Great.
So Brown has not, so he's going to lose a few positions when he does go into the pit. And then Jeff Cookboor and Sam Snelltrain haven't pitted either. So we're really looking at Marco Badowski and then behind him CSAM.
Yeah. Okay. So Marco Badowski right up the front there, as you said. So you know he's going to take his first place. How long does it take for a pit stop around here, Zach? I know you mentioned it earlier on, but let's just remind everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So a typical pit here is going to be about 40 seconds. It's about 28 seconds just to drive through the pits if you get a drive through. And then depending on your strategy, it's about 4/10 for every liter you take. So you can, change your liters, and then 30 seconds for the tires. So it can quickly add up.
Yeah. So Badowski will comfortably then secure that first place from Harvey Brown. And as you say, C-Sam, really we're looking at him when it all irons out and pans out into being second.
That's correct.
Good position for Rick Binnersley up there. Again, starting to show that actually he's in the, comfortably placed in the Tier 1. And is doing a great job out there with 5th place. Really stepped up the sort of, I'm not going to say stepped up the game, but let's just say over the past 6 months, we're no longer seeing Rick Binnersley comfortably in the sort of middle runners. Now to see him encroach and probe into the sort of top runners at RWB is a norm.
Oh, absolutely. And they're feeling the stress here too. These are the top of the pack. These is Tier 1. They're putting in anywhere between 2 to 5 hours a day of practice. It's all or nothing here on Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. And this is why I'm not. This is why I am at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. I spend more time talking than I do actually bloody driving. But that'll all change with the future. Anyway, Rick Binnersley, 5th place, which is great. Usama down there we've just seen him. I think he's actually lapping him, isn't he? Usama? Yeah, he will. Like yeah, because Usama's down in 24th. Let's go to some close racing. Not Usama, but let's go down to Don Jordan, who's now chasing Alex Smith. Behind him, Jody Barraclough. These three, essentially in their own little competition void, which is great stuff. Helmet currently in 9th place. Is Helmet pitted yet?
Helmet. Let me take a look through here. Yes, Helmet has pitted. He pit early on, within the first lap or two.
Awesome. Well, there we go. Latch has just got a 20. A drive-through. That'll be that'll push him down certainly a couple of places there. 6 seconds to Sharp, another 4 seconds to Dot Door. So it's a fair assessment that when Latch comes back out, actually he'll be way down in 23rd, 22nd, possibly even 23rd. But to give some sit rep at the beginning there, Finley Brown, Harvey Brown still out there in first place, yet to pit. Marco Badowski in the KTM, just coming up to the main straight now, has pitted, and so is chuckling to himself, waiting to secure his first place. Kepler currently in 3rd place. He's not pitted, as you said, Zach Say and Snail Train, so Rick Binnersley hasn't either, Zach?
That's correct. As far as my race director, I'm not seeing him as pitted yet.
And with only 15 minutes left of this race, do you think that they're pushing it a bit, or do you think that's part of their strategy from the beginning to go long?
That might be part of their strategy to go long here. Maybe they were trying to get an open track. They took a lot of fuel at the beginning, and they're really just going to come in for a splash and dash when they do come in and pit.
Great. Have they got to change all 4 tyres?
No, they do not.
There you go. So they don't have to change to their tyres. GT4 tyres are affected less, but they have, even if it's just got 1 litre of fuel, they've got to come in and take fuel. So probably because of that, that's probably why some of these guys have got, a long-term strategy. Excellent.
Yeah.
Badowski. Sorry, Zach.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that plays well for the Porsche too, because the Porsche is a very comfortable car to drive. So they're probably being a little bit easier on the tires than some of these other cars.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And these lighter cars certainly, a much better grip. It seems that it's less affected rather than the sort of heavier cars, the Porsche, the KTM, perhaps the Alpine. Curtin is no slouch, and perhaps that's something that he's looked at the longer term there. We're just seeing Jake Moore challenge Oliver Curtin for what is essentially 9th place. Helmet, Curtin, and Napone all together with each other. Curtin, Wardman getting out the way. Napone, Curtin, Moore, and Napone. Let's jump in cockpit with Moore, with Jake Moore hunting down Capone, hunting down Curtin through the S's section. I'm just trying to see actually whether Moore is placing the. I mean, he is piling on the pressure there. If you've never had Moore behind you, just Speed Demon, then ask him to follow you. It's unnerving sometimes, but you know, he just quite happy hanging out the back of Curtin and then at an appropriate place. And I reckon probably coming up to the S section out of the final turn, perhaps he'll have him coming out of there. But Curtin's no slouch to get past. You know, we need to remember that. None of them are.
And you can see Napoleon is really closing the gap on Jake Moore here too. It's going to be a really interesting battle between these two. You can really tell that KTM is a lot lighter than that Audi because it's really going a lot deeper into the braking zone.
Moore on the inside to Curtin, clearly got the edge and just slightly squeezes Curtin out, but Curtin says no. But then no, they're coming down. Yeah, so now Moore has now got in front of Curtin, and now Curtin's position is being challenged by Napone. Curtin stays on the inside defensive going into T2. Napone goes slightly wide. That KTM is lighter. Can he hold it? I don't think he can. But Curtin has maintained his position. Moore is now pulling away slightly from Curtin. Curtin now being pressured by Napone. Curtin, Napone and Wardman, but I think Wardman or Wardman, I think he's actually, he's right down at the bottom there in 27th, so he's a back mark again out of the way. But Curtin and Napone, look how close Napone is to Curtin.
He's taking the inside.
Yeah, I mean, we probably need to go to a deeper shot. Here, these two guys here, I don't think that was done on purpose, but, you've got a back marker there who clearly have the speed to be able to take Napone and unlap himself from Napone, but made the right play by not doing so, knowing that these two are faster than him. So well done, Wardman. But Napone, I think, just came off lucky there. Curtin just gave it a little tap, didn't he, on the inside there, and that was just enough just to unsettle the car a little bit.
Yeah, you could definitely tell Napone was trying to get the move done so that he could follow behind Jake Moore. Jake Moore is just slightly pulling off now as Oliver Curtin keeps his car in front of Napone.
Yeah. Curtin, Napone, and behind them, McKee, Jamie McKee, Rodders in the Audi R8, currently in 12th place, and clawing back the time. Keep your eye on that time, 3.4 seconds. We'll come back to him shortly. Looks like it's got a lot of ride height on the front of that Audi. It looks quite high, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I don't think Jake's looks quite so high. Oh, it does. Look at it. Crikey, it's like a boat.
Yep. Yeah, these cars don't have as much of a front splitter, so they probably don't benefit from that ride height being as close.
Yeah.
And I know some of these cars, they don't have all of the setup adjustments that you normally would have with a GT3. For example, on the Mercedes GT4, you cannot adjust the rear spring, so sometimes you have to be creative with the setup. Right.
Well, that's a top tip. Be creative. And I suppose with a higher ride height, no front splitter, limited length rear diffuser, I think these cars will be easier to go over on the curbs.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely ride these curbs.
Yeah, less chance of grounding. Very, very, very likely. Jake Moore then, currently in 9th place. I said keep an eye on Jamie McKee. He was at 3.4 seconds. Now he's at 2.6 seconds, so he is clawing it back from Oliver Curtin. Oliver Curtin, there he is in cockpit with Jamie McKee now. We can see Oliver Curtin's car there coming down into the entry of the Superman complex at turn 12. So 2.3 seconds now, so he is definitely closing up on Curtin.
Yeah, absolutely. And did something happen to Napone? Because he fell 2 positions back.
Yeah, I've just seen that. I've just seen that now. He's now in 13th. So something passed us by there. Nothing flashed up to me to say that there was anything untoward going on, but significant amount of understeer and oversteer to recorrect there for Napone into turn 14 or turn 16. Yeah, very likely something happened for him to drop down. Being challenged by Buchek. being challenged by Buchek now, coming into T1. Both of these KTMs. And I think Napone deserves to lose that position for having a pink KTM. It's orange.
Absolutely.
KTM. It's orange KTM. Pink is his colour, isn't it? Pink is his colour for any car, any livery, it's pink.
Yeah, last season with the RST League, he ran with Speed Demon in the pink Audi.
Yeah, pink Audi. Goodness gracious me. Buchek then, challenging Napone for 13th place. Let's have a look where else there's some activity going on. Well, it's not here. Badowski in 2nd place currently, but actually a fair assessment. Finley Harvey Brown has still got to pit, I believe. Has he still got to pit, really, with 7 minutes left, do you think, Jake? Zach?
Yeah, so my race director says that he does, but that doesn't mean that my race director is correct. Sometimes they are bugs from the ACC, SEK. So we'll have to see. But yeah, it does look like Sam Snelltrain, he was indicating that he didn't pit. He pitted last lap. And then Jeff Kepler, he was indicated not pitting. He just came into the pits this lap. So I think Finley has not pitted yet, but we'll have to wait and see.
Stop press, Zach. Napone has just got a drive-through. So clearly he's been abusing track limits. I think is that down to a damaged car? Let's have a look. Do we think his car is damaged? Or is it likely that his pit stop didn't include tyres? And therefore towards this, final throes of the race, perhaps the car is struggling. We saw he understeered quite a bit into turn 16, the last turn there. So perhaps he's struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. He probably did not take tires that last pit stop, so he's probably struggling with track limits here. It's really easy to go wide, carry too much speed at the apex, and it just shoots you out. Just an update, Finley Brown just came into the pits. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out with Marco.
Yeah, absolutely. On to Marco Badowski now. There we go. We're coming around T15 or T16 essentially, which is the last corner. Finley Brown is still in the pits. Badowski is now along the main straight. Where does he come out? Does he go past? Yes, he does. Finley Brown is now moving out, but Badowski is now already into T1, and we can see now Finley Brown, Harvey Brown there just rejoins in what is essentially 2nd place. We saw Dave Crew there, but Dave Crew was being lapped. Dave Crew is down in 19th place. So there we go. So Badowski is now back into 1st place.
Yeah, and that extending his pit stop really worked out for him because he did jump a few positions. He's out in front of CSAM now. Yeah,
very much so. So running order then: Badowski in 1st place, Finley Harvey Brown in 2nd place, Rick Binnersley in 3rd place. Awesome position for Rick Binnersley. Bloody marvellous. CSAM in 4th place. Still in challenging distance to Rick Binnersley. We can see there that we've got Nate Newcomer in 5th place with Helmet in 6th place. And these three here, Helmet and Moore. And behind them we can see Gabsy. Gabsy is actually a rear marker, a back marker being taken by Moore. But Moore now looking at Helmets, looking at the back of Helmet into T2 and wondering where actually he's got enough time to challenge Helmet for what is essentially 6th place. Very high, just noticing how very high these cars are off the ground. When you take away that splitter and some of the constraints of the GT4 class with regards to aerodynamics and bump stop ranges and springs and so on, that actually they do ride quite high. And as I said, that's a bit of an advantage sometimes when it comes to the curbs. You're not going to ground it and you'll still maintain a bit of grip, but there are certain other disadvantages as well, as Zach mentioned previously. More all over Helmet now, like a pigeon outside Greg's, and Helmet is really now going to have to drive defensively or not. It depends on whether he's got that appetite for what is 3.5 minutes. I would, and make Speed Demon work for every single bit of that track.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake has been showing some really good late race pace. He's really improved on his pace this lap. He did a 54.4 last lap. It's going to put him in the top 5 for lap times last lap.
Coming into the S section here, Helmet driving very, very well, very, very defensively. We're seeing the back end of that BM just get out of shape. What line does Jake take here? He's going slightly wide to come in and have a quicker drive out. Has he got enough as he fights with the understeer? Let's see. I don't think he's got enough. A
little too far.
Yeah, he's just too far back. It will be down to a braking game now into T1. But Helmet's no slouch. You know, he'll make him work every single bit for this position. And he's one of the cooler characters who won't be remotely phased that Speed Demon's there. So Speed Demon will have to bring his, his AA game to get past him, because Helmet will drive very, very defensively now.
Yeah, and you can actually see Speed Demon peeking in on a little bit on the turn 1. Looked like he was going a little bit on the inside. He's probably trying to sell Helmet a dummy, just to get him take a smaller corner radius so that he can get a better exit.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome stuff. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go, and we're seeing this backwards and forwards battle, this little probing battle that Speed Demon is bringing to Helmet here, coming into the chicane at T6 and 7, and he seems to be diving in and out, as we said. As we see just Gabsy there, just almost lose it. Keep a hold of it, Gabsy, keep a hold. But Jake here, Speed Demon, really wanted to secure that position from Helmet, and Helmet saying, sod off, you're not having it. With 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go, be interesting to see whether Jake can actually get past him in these throws, in these last throws. At the front there, Badowski still in the lead. Jake now looking at the outside, coming into the Parabolica, but Helmet has covered the inside and is going wide to get the power going into this last corner. But and again, the car is so well matched that on the straight there, we'll go to a wider shot to see. But yeah, look at that for a balance of performance. Helmet is just pulling away slightly on the Audi, which again just brings it to another sort of braking game into T1.
Yeah, absolutely. Speed is very patient, so he's going to wait to that last possible second to try to make this move. 55 seconds left in the race. It's going to be a really interesting finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, Badowski, Harvey Brown, and Binnersley. Now, we haven't chosen a People's Champion because we simply haven't had the chance to have the exposure. But what we will try to do at the end of this race is pull the first, second, and third in for a quick chat with Zach. Zach, perhaps you'd be good enough to run that chat with them at the end there. We'll see whether we can drag them in. But we've got plenty of stuff to ask them on their perception of the race. Jake Moore looking at the inside there. What a beautiful move. Beautiful move, but Helmet has got the exit out of T7 into the T8 corner, so surely holds that position. Yeah, there you go. Good move by Jake, though, Zach.
Oh, absolutely. They were fighting for every inch. Helmet was telling Jake, nope, I don't think so. I'm keeping this position.
Yeah. Great stuff by these two. Great racing. Great racing.
Just a quick update. Binnersley just went into the pit just now. Going to be interesting to see how the game handles that.
Wow. Well, crikey. Well, Helmet is doing a great job holding off Moore there. Binnersley went into the pits, as we heard, and has now dropped down to 5th. He's still in the pits. Yeah, he's still in the pits. There he is. Very unusual to push it out as far as we did. Very, very unusual. But, okay. Helmet and Moore, that's what we're looking at. Proof is in the pudding. I mentioned to you earlier on about Gabsy being way down there, or as you'll see in Gareth Rowlands being way down there in 25th, which is out of parity to his pace. He's been stuck to Moore now for the past 5 laps. So clearly as a result of his incident. Oh no, that was bad form. Let's go back 30 seconds. Let's jump into cockpit with Jake Moore. Following Helmet now coming down into T1. It looked like he just done a late brake and just tapped Helmet So we're coming down now into T2, which is where the incident happened. We're in cockpit. We're in cockpit with Jake. He goes to go to the inside, but yeah, there's no way that he had the grip from the tyres. No way did he have the grip from the tyres. No way did he have the grip on the tyres or the brakes to be able to take that position. Fair play, allowed Helmet to retake the position. That would be a normal expected thing. But I'm wondering if someone with less experience to try to move like that, actually how it would come off. In this case, not too much drama, and back on the cycle and keep pedaling for the rest of the race. But someone else with less experience would have made a whole world of hurt with that. Helmet then looks like he will maintain his 5th position. Where did Rick Binnersley come out? Rick Binnersley has come out in what was 9th position. Finley Harvey-Brown in 2nd. CSAM crosses the line in 3rd. I don't believe he's going to have to do a race. Looks like Helmet kept off Jake Moore, Speed Demon. Speed Demon crosses the line in 5th. Snauer Train in 6th. And Oliver Curtin, good job, in 7th place. So, 1st place, Badowski. 2nd place, Harvey-Brown. And CSAM in 3rd place. What a great race.
Absolutely. What a phenomenal race. Got to give it to Harvey Brown. Started in P4, climbed his way up to P2. What a great race.
Yeah, awesome. Do you think CSAM knows the race is over?
I don't know. Maybe his
Mon Dieu. He's going mad in there. I know. I've seen his streams where he loses his rag. Mon Dieu. Yeah, great racing, everybody. Shame about Madley. Shame about Rowlands, i.e. Gabsy. Shame about Hacks. Shame about Philip Varley. Dave Crew. Big shout out to Dave Crew. Shame Dave Crew had that issue at the with being slightly hit there and dropping place. All those guys, not the usual position for them to be. But, less than 1 second qualified these guys. We're just in our own, Speed Demon fight with Helmet for that position. They had a great race. Just because you're super quick doesn't mean to say you're always going to win. And there's less than 1 second between 30 cars. Bloody hell. That's an incredible sort of delta, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You got to think. There's so many things that could go wrong in one lap, and to be within 1 second for 30-something cars is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely is. Right. Well, what we've got to do now is we've got to grab these guys. So Badowski, where is Badowski? Oh, now I'm looking in the channel for Badowski. If I can't identify you, yep, there he is. It's okay. So I'm going to drag. Oh, no, I don't know what's happened there. Badowski, you're all the way down the bottom. I should be able to drag Badowski up. Yep, so Badowski is with us. We'll talk to him in a minute. Let's now get hold of Harvey, wasn't it? It was Harvey that was in 2nd. I can't see him. Can you see him, Zach?
I'm not sure. Let me look.
Harvey, we can't see it. If we can't see you in the stream, if we can't see you in the channel because you've got a stupid Discord name that's not in parity with your racing name, you don't get a chance to be dragged into the commentary box and have a chat with afterwards. So you've lost out there. And 2nd place, 3rd place was CSAM. So there's CSAM. So I will drag CSAM up. And that's CSAM with us as well. So there we go. So we've got 1st and 3rd with us after that wonderful race. There we go. 75 minutes around Hungaroring. 1st place, Marco Badowski. 2nd place was Harvey. 3rd place was CSAM. And I hand you over to Xerax for a quick post-race commentary interview. Xerax, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Tiger, for the handoff. First off, amazing race, you guys. Congratulations on the podium spots. It was absolutely brilliant to watch. I'm going to start with Marco Badowski here. It was so awesome to watch you in P1. You qualified in P1. You did a 51.9, absolute rapid time through here. Do you think the KTM had an advantage here, being a little bit lighter? What was your take on your car versus the other cars?
Yeah, first of all, the KTM is straight up overpowered on this track, I think, because of 2 reasons. First of all, you mentioned it being lighter than the other cars, and because it's lighter, the ride height of the car needs to be a lot more high. Because of that, you can take a lot of those curbs, especially that chicane and the left kink on the end of the first sector. You can just straight up clatter over it and gain a lot of time through that. But it's also a little bit risky to track limits and spinning off.
Yeah, absolutely. And track limits definitely came into a play this race. So we definitely saw a lot of drive-throughs this entire race. Starting at P1 for the start of the race, what happened in turn two? There was an incident. It looks like you lost a few positions. And after you lost those few positions, what was your mentality to get back up into P1?
I think I screwed up at the start because I saw that I was pulling away from P2 maybe a little bit too far. So I slowed down a little bit, but it was on the start-finish line. And when I was on the brakes, the race actually started. So I lost out on quite a few positions there. Like, I think I was in fourth after the first corner. And after that, I just really tried to set my foot into the race because I haven't raced that closely with the guys for quite some time, and the car doesn't feel that great on heavy fuel, so I just tried to heat up the tires, and eventually the close racing brought its victims because some people just winded into the wall or crashed each other out, and I was lucky to survive and put in some good laps to catch the first one. I think it was Newcomer, to put him under pressure into the pits, and from there on I was just leading, I think, and the time was better.
Absolutely. Consistency was a huge play here. Well, congratulations, Marco. Appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy the P1 for this first race, and good luck next race.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to go to, do we have Harvey Brown in the channel?
No, we don't. No. So we're going to go to third place, CSAM.
Okay, going to CSAM. Congratulations on P3, CSAM. Question for you is, after your qualifying, you started at P11. So, within outside of the top 5, you climbed yourself back into P3. What was your mentality during the race? There was a great battle between P2, P3, P5 at the start of the race. You were in the back. It seemed like you were being consistent and you were just putting in those really good lap times.
Yeah, it was kind of weird at the beginning because in turn 2 there was someone who spun, and luckily I was on the inside, so I could avoid them, and that's why in 2 corners I was already 5th. And after that, I just waited a bit behind to see what was happening, and I saw I was slowly gaining, but doing some mistakes. We had roughly the same pace, and I don't know who it was, but one of them, I think it was Siax, did a mistake, and or Nepon, and after that I tried to overtake, and I lost many position, and after that I was just alone on the track doing lap after lap, trying to be consistent and fast, and it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. And me and Tyre were talking about the Mercedes being, one of the heavier cars for this lap. Did you take tires during your pit stop? Or
No.
did you ever think that was
Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, do you think that caused you to lose time near the end of the race, or do you think the car felt very comfortable with those worn tires?
No, I was doing the same lap times. The car felt a bit more twitchy towards the end, but it was just because I had less fuel, so the rear was a bit higher. But I could do the same lap times roughly, and so I think this car is great because it doesn't eat the tires too much, so it's cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us, CSAM. Congratulations on P3. Be sure to enjoy that tonight, and good luck in the rest part of the league.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and change it back over to Tiger at this time.
Thank you. Well done, CSAM. There you go. That was the end of round 1 of the RWB International GT4 League at Hungaroring. Winner was Badowski. Harvey was in second, and CSAM in third place. Next week is round 2, and that'll be at Silverstone. But our program is as follows. On Tuesday, we will be having the Spirit of Great Britain race, and that's at Silverstone. That's ACC. Come along. It's open to RWB members and members of the community, so it's semi-open. Come along. If you want to take part in that race, all you need to do is go to rwbracing.club, click on the Discord, come in, find out what the password is, jump in and enjoy it. Then on Friday, we've got the final round of the DTM 2016, which is at Hockenheim. And then, of course, this time next week, round 2 for the GT4 League will be at Silverstone. There you go. Look, there is never a better time to get into sim racing. There is sim racing going on everywhere. There are clubs everywhere. And more importantly, there are seats everywhere. This particular league tonight was 3 tiers. And each one of those tiers was 30 plus cars. There's over 100 people in our Discord right now in the various tier channels who have enjoyed racing tonight. And it's not just the actual physical act of racing, is it? It's the people you meet, the conversations you have, the laughs you have afterwards when you're having a watch party or whatever. You want to be part of it? Then come along. Zach, thank you very much for joining me tonight as number 2. Hopefully going forward, I think you're going to help me get in the seat more, in the racing seat more, by doing some commentary for us on Saturdays as number 1s. But whatever you can do for us would be greatly appreciated. I've really enjoyed my time with you tonight. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Tiger. I had an absolute blast tonight.
You're very welcome. Right, well, that's it. There you go. We don't need to say any more except those infamous strapline words. You know what they say? Don't race alone. Race RWB. Till next time, then. Bye-bye.